So, hi guys, welcome to today's podcast where I'm joined by Mr. Chris Walker, the owner of the Superstar SEO Group and also the man behind the platform Legiit, which many of you will have no doubt come across in your time. So, welcome to the show, Chris. Thank you for taking the time to come on.
Hey, thanks for having me on, dude. I'm looking forward to it. I appreciate it.
So, as I say, you have the Superstar SEO Group, you have Legiit. So, I'm sure pretty much anyone with any ounce of sense in the digital marketing community will probably already know who you are. But for anyone new watching, can you give us just a brief background of what you've done in the past years? You know, I know you've now got Legiit in the Superstar SEO Group, but how long have you been in the industry? What sort of things have you been doing to get to where you are today?
Sure. So I started in like 2013 messing around with some affiliate sites while I was still working at a job. And it never really got me where I wanted to go. And then in like 2015, I started doing some freelance SEO services on some other marketplaces that will remain nameless. And it started doing fairly well from there. And what I would start doing was driving people from those orders into a Facebook group. I don't really know why I did, just kind of like on a whim. And that's kind of how the Superstar SEO Facebook group grew. And then after a while, that particular marketplace that I was talking about before started having all sorts of problems with being hacked and crashing and stuff. So I kind of started selling stuff through my own site, like little SEO services. And I had gotten to know a lot of the freelancers on that particular site. And they were like, well, can we sell stuff on your site as well? I was like, well, sure. And then after a while, I was like, well, I might as well go ahead and create something. I saw that there was a need for that. So I decided I had met a really talented developer at the time, and we kind of came up with the idea to make our own marketplace in replace of it. And then that's been almost 3 years now. So it's kind of grown from there. But basically my background was in SEO, doing affiliate and client and stuff, you know, the kind of standard stuff like that. And then everything's just kind of snowballed. It's been a great adventure. And I don't know, I'm kind of like surprised day to day how I got from where I was to where we are now. So
sometimes you just need that something different, you know, just to take you in a slightly different direction, and doing what you do. But obviously you've killed it in the last 3 years with Legiit. And for anyone who doesn't know what Legiit is a marketplace where you can buy a number of different services. I personally use it. Well, I found some really good PR guys on there, which we'll talk about in a moment. But, you know, Legiit has all of these different things on there, whether it's logos, web design and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Now, so just to talk about that and the setup that you've got initially, can anyone go on Legiit, or are these people vetted? So could I just randomly go on there and say, listen, dude, I sell some crappy, you know, web design or logos, which I'm really bad at, but I just want to launch them on your marketplace? Or is there some form of vetting that goes on?
So the answer is yes and no. Like technically anybody can start it. We, of course, review it before it's made live. We can't really effectively vet every single service that comes on. Like I can't have somebody design a website for me just so I can see if it's good or not. But at the same time, if they don't offer quality, like if somebody buys something and they don't deliver as they're supposed to, or the quality is not good, that will not only get reflected in their ratings and the reviews and the exposure they get. If we get complaints about it, we'll shut people down. So there's definitely the advantage is that there's a team behind it that's going to be behind you to help you make sure that there's quality for everything everybody gets. Now, the other problem with pre-vetting is that things are subjective. So particularly with stuff like SEO, like some people love a certain thing and then some people think it's complete spam. You know, there are people that think that backlinks shouldn't exist. So it's kind of impossible to come up with a standard that everybody agrees to, but it's based on the effort that people put in and then the quality that gets delivered. If they're not meeting the Legiit standard, they will be asked to go elsewhere. So.
Yeah. Well, I like the way that you will simply remove people if they don't meet a certain criteria. I think that's warming from a customer perspective, that that is the case, and obviously you go on there and hopefully get something of a real good standard. And any time I've used it, and I'm using it more and more frequently now, I've always had some good stuff on there. But talking about the kind of stuff that you can find on there, and personally, I've been an SEO for 18 years, and I still was flabbergasted at the quality of work that two guys in particular that I've used on there, Nix Lee and Randy Rodet, both offering their PR gigs, which I've had both previously on podcasts and stuff like that as well. Not just to showcase them. I don't know them on a one-to-one basis. They're not my best friend. They're not anything like that. These are genuinely guys that I reached out to, and I just couldn't believe the results for the price that I got. So I was just like, Jesus, Randy, for example, I bought, I think it was his cheapest gig, and I got some good links, some PR stuff. And then I get the next package up, and he was like pinging me saying, yeah, I've got you in Yahoo Finance and stuff like that. And I'm like, Jesus, there's guys out there selling one of these links for like, $1,200 a pop. And he's doing his PR campaign. And obviously I got him on, and we, spoke through, his process, how it all works and what PR is and the benefits and all that stuff. But what I was flabbergasted about was, this is just guys who are just really good at what they do, and you're getting them at the root price rather than going through these crazy agencies and paying, the overinflated fees. And I think what I'm trying to emphasize here is, if you want good PR, if you want good web design, logos, whatever, Legiit is a good place to go, because there are good people offering real good quality stuff. And Randy and Nix and probably many of the other guys on there that I haven't came across are probably all really talented guys that just don't have those crazy offices, in the in the middle of their cities and stuff like that. And I think that's something that maybe, and we won't name names, but as customers, we sometimes just assume that because one marketplace is just full of absolute garbage, that we just kind of label them all with the same brush. And is that something you feel does happen?
Yeah, so there, like you say, without naming names, there is a certain marketplace where the perception is that everything is only worth $5. And like, to us, it's more, we would rather have less freelancers but of a higher quality. And same with the customer, to be perfectly honest, that are like Randy, like Nix, like other people that I could name that are very talented, but they're also like, they're not just, a lot of freelancers on the other platforms we're talking about want to list a service and then just have money fall on them. These guys are actually, in addition to the things that they do, they're, full stack marketers. They know how to take care of customers. They know how to drive sales to their own thing. And then they use it to grow their own business as well. Like what they do with, like you use Nix and Randy as an example. What they do with us is just one piece of their business, but they are a full agency, and they're even leveraging it to grow it. So what we're not trying to do is bring over people that are going to list the same exact logo design service that they have on every marketplace that says the exact same thing that starts with I will do blah, blah, blah. Don't get me wrong. Like, those people are welcome if they want to sign up, and maybe they do a better job than the perception of them. But our goal is to have clients and customers that are worth more, that want to spend more than $5. Yeah. And we want freelancers that are going to make this a big part of their business and want to make more than $5. You know what I mean? So like, we want talent, and we try to draw that type of person in, as opposed to being a clone of another particular marketplace, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. And I think what is also good from a customer point of view as well, I get budget from someone or from myself to go and get, whether it be PR or whatever it might be. And it's good to just go onto a site like Legiit and just go through, bang, bang, search for your people that you use, bang, 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 place the order, job done. It's not like just buying some crap. You can buy pretty much a whole marketing strategy on there from a number of different people.
Yeah. Not to interrupt, but we actually have something that's going to make that coming up that's going to make that even easier, where there'll be like a landing page specifically for someone that's maybe running a marketing thing, and it'll have you buy this, and this service, and you'll click one button, and it'll add your whole month's campaign to your cart at once. And then we're going to have something similar to Zapier, where it's like this recipe, like a recipe. We haven't quite come up with what we're going to call them, but it'll be this thing plus this thing equals this result. And then you click the button and it adds that to your cart too. So our goal is to make it as easy for agencies to frankly give us their entire business as possible. So
no, because it's a pain in the arse sometimes to go on there and be like, right, I need to buy this and I need to buy that, because obviously what I'm going on, I know what the shopping list is in my head, but you're then going through and buying it and doing this and doing that, whereas if you could literally have a recipe if you like, because we've all got our own secret, well, not secret formula, but a formula, like we'll buy this from Nick's, or we'll buy that from Randy, and we'll buy 2 of this and 1 of that from that guy, and boom, that's your month spent. That would be quite cool. I think that would be a great addition. But going back to the types of people that can advertise on there, how does someone get on there? How does it, if there's guys out there watching this going, bloody hell, I've been selling on Fiverr and, my stuff is worth a lot more, because, Legiit is not a low-cost marketplace. Some of the stuff, it's still low cost, but you can expect to pay £100, £200. There's all sorts on there. It's just a proper marketplace. But for someone going, right, well, I'm sick of, because obviously the likes of Fiverr and stuff like that, people just associate everything that is going to cost a Fiverr. And for me, the name of that company instantly just is going to bring in a certain value, because even as a seller, if I wanted to sell on there, I'm going to always think, could I sell something for $200 on there? Probably not. It's just not the right marketplace for it.
Right.
So what is required? Do you need to tie in for a certain amount of time? How much does it cost for a vendor to be on there? Does it work on a percentage basis? How does it actually work? Because I've never sold on Legiit, and I know that's a really rookie question, but I'm going to, there will be people watching who are going to say, well, what's the percentage, or how much does it cost? Is there a contract? How easy is it to get on Legiit as a seller?
So I'll answer like the bare bones part of it first. The fees, we don't charge our customers anything. So on Fiverr, I hate to name names, but on Fiverr, if you buy a $5 service, it's going to cost you $7. So that's our customer on ours. The price that's on the thing is how much you pay. So that's one thing. I think it's kind of asinine to charge an extra fee on top for your customers. As far as what the freelancer makes, there's 2 scenarios. The most common one is if you sell something and I buy it from you, the platform will take in 15%. So if you have like $100 service, you'd make $85. And then we would make, 15, which is also less than most other marketplaces. So there's that. And then as far as how to get started, and anyone can list a service, and, there's not, you don't have to like send us your ID and stuff, although there are quite a few steps you have to go to make sure that you're like a real person. But to get started, like one problem we have had with people that sell in other marketplaces, particularly Fiverr, is that when they list a service, they expect to just magically get sales. Ours aren't quite like that, because we don't want people that aren't going to put in any effort. We want people that are going to make a real commitment, So you will have to do a little bit of promotion to get yourself visible. It doesn't have to be paid promotion. I have like a whole list of resources, but once you get a sale or two, the rock starts rolling down the mountain and you do very, very well. Like we have people making full-time livings. I sell on there myself, and it's still a fairly profitable portion of my business too. So I guess the answer is that anyone can sign up, and as long as if you do good work and you get promoted just a tiny bit, you're going to get some sales and you're going to get going. For example, and it's much easier to charge a premium, kind of the way you were talking. For example, one of our top logo designers, Ahmed Abraham, he charges like $37 for a logo instead of like $5 that most people want to charge, because and even that's probably cheap, but like he can get away with that because he has skill and he's put in the effort to build a name for himself. And sort of like that. So if you're willing to put in the work, the extra marketing tools and traffic and the low percentage that we charge is going to really, in my opinion, can really change somebody's life. And I have tons of testimonials of people saying that too. So
yeah,
I hope that answers your question.
No, that answers it very well, and I'll have a look at that guy. You know, $37 for a logo is nothing at all in the grand scheme of things. You know, there's even if you go out and buy a business card locally where I am, and someone designs your logo, it's like $150.
Yeah,
right there. So,
and we do have some that charge at that level. There still is. Like, I don't want to give the impression that you can charge exorbitant amounts. There's still people that there's still a perception that with a marketplace that they're only going to want to pay, you know, X amount of dollars for a certain thing. But you can definitely get away with charging more than $5. As a matter of fact, we recently made it to where you can't even list a new service at $5. So,
interesting. No, I think it's just trying to get that message across that it's not a low cost, you know, scum of the earth, crappy, you know, service that you can get on there. There is real legit people. But in terms of, you know, you mentioned there that people can list on there and all that kind of stuff. But what does actually get you seen more on Legit? Is there an algorithm behind that where the guy that gets the most reviews is going to come up first for digital PR, for example? Or does this stuff rotate? Or how does it work when you're showcasing the whole bunch of people to make it fair? Is it gamified? Is it about reviews? Or is it, you know, just randomly chucked out there?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I can't share the exact formula it's used any more than Google would share their algorithm, but there is a system behind it as far as the way things show up on the marketplace itself. The best advice I can give on that is to do a good job, communicate effectively, and deliver on time, and, you know, make some sales. And the better you do, the higher you'll be rewarded. It is more involved in that, and I don't want to give that out, because something I have learned from running a marketplace is that people will do anything they can to gamify the system rather than put in the work. So if I give out exactly how it works, they're going to spend time focusing on that rather than doing a good job, you know?
Yeah. No, it makes sense. I was just curious to know if it was like just rotated evenly or
no. We in the beginning we had it where it just displayed the newest services, but what ended up happening there was people would visit the site, and since it was all new services showing, it looked like nobody had ever bought anything, you know. So that was kind of a bad perception. So we came up with something with that, and we're still currently adjusting it to there's actually we're going to be changing, and this is kind of a sneak preview for anybody watching. We're going to make it some changes to where it will show you services that are most likely to appeal to you. So there's going to be a change somewhat in that regard in the next few weeks. It's kind of hard I don't understand the tech side of it at all, but apparently it's a fairly complex piece of coding, but that I think will help. I think they'll help our customers, which is obviously the most important part. And then it will help the freelancers as well get some more exposure, because there's going to be an algorithm figuring out which is most ideal for you. And that's a kind of a point I want to make. It's a little not what you asked, but a lot of other marketplaces tend to heavily favor one side or the other. Mm-hmm. And we think of the freelancer and the customer both as our customer and try to do our best to help both of them. You know, I have a lot of experience in marketplace freelancing, so I'm able to give freelancers the tools that allowed me to be successful at it. And then I have a lot of experience as a customer, and so do the other people that are on my team. So we use that as leverage. And then, of course, we always listen to what people suggest as well.
Yeah. No, it's all sounds like good stuff. Now, obviously, you mentioned that you were a freelancer, you were selling on marketplaces and all that, and obviously stumbled across this Legit thing, and it's obviously blown up massively. How does, you know, and you mentioned something there that you're not the tech guy, you know, behind, you know, the software, which is also great. You know, and by that, I mean, you're clearly, you know, you've got a team in place to be able to make Legit successful. And I think what is great about it is that someone like us as SEOs or digital marketers, you don't have to be tech savvy or, you know, a SaaS expert or anything like that to build an amazing marketplace or an amazing tool, which I think is remarkable. But what has changed? You know, are you still doing affiliate stuff, or are you solely focused in Legiit now? And how many people are part of that team? Because surely if you were a freelancer and you're selling stuff and buying gigs and doing your SEO thing, and then all of a sudden you've got to get developers, you've got to, have this team which are probably going to be working all the time on such a platform. So you're going to have to processes in place. You're going to have all sorts of stuff in place. How has that transition worked? What how did you deal with it? Because surely it's a massive change, going from buying a couple of links here and there and ordering content to this, because it's madness.
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked that, to be honest. I joke with my staff a lot, my team, I don't like calling them staff, my team a lot, that they have made me useless. And like, I compare myself to like Colonel Sanders or something from Kentucky Fried Chicken, to where I've gotten to the point where I'm just the face on the sign now, because they're so like little day to day. But the way, as far as the tech side, I was very fortunate, and this is a cool story too. On the other marketplace that I used to sell on that I mentioned, I sold a $16 service to someone who turned out to be a developer. And, we got to know each other through that. And he owns a big SaaS and web development agency. And so most of the people watching this will be familiar with him as well. But we talked, and then when the idea came up, we decided to do this together. So we partnered on that. He handles the tech side. He runs a team of developers. I think there's like 5 or 6 of them. I don't really know. I know some of them, and that he kind of handles that side. If it were up to me to do the tech, it legit would just say hello world still. But as far as the other side of that, we have a full-time support staff. So there's literally someone handling support 24 hours a day. In the beginning, it was mostly just me, but we've added one and added another and added another. And now there's like a full structured staff that I only check in on, a couple times a week. There are other people. We have a QA person who goes through and makes sure that there's nobody doing scummy stuff like, actually you can come visit me on Fiverr instead of, that sort of thing. That sort of thing. But a lot of my day now is spent CEOing, as I like to call it, where I just, I make sure the team has everything they need. I make the decisions on what direction we're going to go. And that's kind of it. As far as like the other side, I still have my SEO clients and sites and services and things like that. But legit being I feel like I'm being vain when I say this, but being like the CEO of Legiit is most of what my day consists of, and the rest of that is just like kind of how I pay myself, if that makes sense. I've never paid myself a single dollar from Legiit. I've reinvested it all back into the platform and the staff and the team, stuff like that. So for the most part, it bewilders me that this is kind of how my life has played out. My business has played out, because it started as just an idea because I needed someplace to sell my stuff. And now it's turned into this whole thing with staff in 5 different time zones. So
yeah, no, it's a great story. What I do want to ask, and feel free to tell me to bugger off if you don't want to disclose this. So you've obviously started this, and you've met your friend or your colleague or your partner now, on Legiit. Now, this would have started off, as you say, as a very small thing where you wanted to promote your own stuff. Now, that's things like that start off very small. There's little to no investment other than 2 people's time and bits and pieces. Did you ever get investment, or is this all self-funded? Like you've just made money, put more in, and just expanded that way? Just out of curiosity, because obviously you've grown massively in 3 years. I would just be curious to know if was there an investor who said, this is a great idea, let's scale this up in a big way, or was it all self-funded?
100% self-funded. Jim, my partner, he, like I said, he runs the agency that did the tech behind it, and he does way more than that. He helps out a lot with that. But all of the money came either from what he committed to it as far as being the partner in it, or what I have of myself. Zero investor funding like that. Like Fiverr had $100 million to start off with. We had about whatever I had in my PayPal account at the time. And just, I'm not a huge fan of like Russell Brunson's, but it's something he's said before, always kind of stuck with me when I think about how it would be nice to have funding, and that he started it all just from marketing, from knowing how to build a community and build a market. And that's kind of how what we've done as well. It's been all completely self-funded, no investor capital or anything. We've entertained trying to get some at times, but then like I realized then I'd have to like care what they thought. And that's not, I didn't get into business to have a boss, you know, like I quit my job in 2016 and I did that because I didn't like having to tell somebody else what to do, have someone else tell me what to do. So
Yeah.
taking on investor capital, I think would be going backwards. So
Yeah, no, it's listen. I was hoping that was going to be the answer. I think it's to hear of a business that small, that young, just a run of the mill idea explode into what it is just now, which I don't even know the figures. I don't, I know it's a massive, massive service in our community, and it's grown arms and legs all the time. So I think hearing that is just great for other people to hear that. Don't just be greedy and take all the money out and all that. Like what you said. I've not taken anything out of Legiit. It's all just been reinvested, which has allowed you to turn from, leaving your job 4 years ago to, the CEO, which if someone told you that 4 years ago,
oh man,
you'd probably laughed in their face. Going,
when I quit my job, my goal was to make enough income to where I was making as much at my job. That was the only goal I had, and I had no idea it would grow. And not only did I have no idea, I had no ambition. And that's not really the right way to put it, but I had no desire to grow like a company. And now it's like it consumes my everyday, and in a good way. So it's amazing to me, and I never want to lose sight of that. I tell that to people a lot, and maybe it sounds cliche or cheesy or whatever, but it means a lot to me that it's grown the way it has, and that more importantly, that we've been able to help people change their lives. For example, and I'm going off on a tangent and I apologize, but one of our freelancers, Adrian, was showing me how he's, bought a new house and bought a new car and bought some land and helped his grandfather who got really sick get through things. And it's stuff like that that really keeps me getting up in the morning and working all night,
Yeah. No, listen, I think that's the flip side of it. Although you're doing really well and successful in business, there's guys out there who have probably been able to build a decent business for themselves using your platform. And that was something else I was going to say or ask you earlier on. Every time like I've met Randy or Nix or whatever, and I actually said this on Nix's podcast. I was like, Nix, give me your link and I'll put it below the podcast and all that. And he went, I don't have a website. What? And he went, I've been meaning to get a website for so long, but word of mouth and obviously just using Legiit, and I think I put on his Legiit link to his thing was more than enough for this guy to make a considerable living. He doesn't even have a website. It's beyond belief. And I don't know, we all get lazy and we don't, your own website always gets put to the side. I'm the same. My website is nowhere near the way that I want it to be because I'm just busy. And it'll be the same with Nix and anyone else on there. But I think that's because I was going to say, like, why are people just giving out these pain in the ass legit links? Like, surely you've got a website with your landing page on there and the contact form and all that. But these guys simply just want to do their work and they're just quite happy to ping it out, through Legiit, which I've never really seen before with any other marketplace. I have, obviously, in a spam way, but someone like Nix Lee who's doing good quality work for good quality people at that level, just handing out a Legiit hit him link is it just shows you he's clearly very busy and inundated with work through probably that one source of traffic, alongside word of mouth.
Well, and the other thing though is that Nix and Randy and a handful of others also they can see the big picture. And this is what a lot of the people that come over from the other side don't really see, is that you can use this to leverage it to create other things. Like Nix, for example, he has his service and he does very, very well on Legiit. Randy as well, but they've also used that as a form of lead gen or a front end offer, or I think digital marketer calls it a tripwire, to generate like agency clients and grow their own like groups and brands and stuff. So it doesn't have to just be about what you make on there. It can be a form of lead gen for yourself as well. And that's something that was very, very important to me in creating it, because that was, like I said, that was how I created my Facebook group, at least in the beginning. And I want people to be able to take it and build their own brand and build their own business. I encourage them to drive their customers to an email list or to a Facebook group or whatever, however they want to keep in touch with them, and to create like their own business around it rather than just wait for some sales to come in. So like on other marketplaces, you can literally get kicked off for mentioning, I also have this Facebook group you can join, but I want people to do that sort of thing and kind of, I want people, it sounds cheesy again, but I want people to have the same opportunity that I was fortunate enough to have. So
yeah, no, I think it's a good approach to have, which is obviously a topic I wanted to then revert back to, because you said, whether you meant it or not, you built up the Superstar SEO group, and that was obviously selling gigs and stuff like that, and building up a group, which I think is a great, thing for branding, obviously to build up authority and trust and a whole bunch of other stuff. But the fact that you're allowing that whole process, people to come to Legiit, build their brand, build their group, build everything is remarkable. But how many people are in the Superstar SEO group these days?
I want to say it's like 64,000.
Jeez. So you've obviously scaled that up. Is that similar in time? Like, was it 2016? How long did it take to get to that number? Or was this before?
So I created it in early 2016. And the only reason I created it was I was just trying to get as many URLs for my brand as possible, just Facebook page and the profile and the group. And then I was like, well, I might as well do something with this. So on my orders from the other website that I'm trying not to name, and when I would deliver something, I would just say, hey, come join my Facebook group where I'll give you some discounts and some content. And I forget the exact wording, to be perfectly honest. And then people started joining, and then I made some videos and it got some engagement. And then when, I just kind of treated it as like another, in all of my other careers, I've always been good at building communities. And that's kind of what I decided to do there, was I kept helping people and getting to know people. And then after a while, once you show a certain level of engagement for a certain level of members, Facebook starts recognizing that and sending people to your group as well. And it kind of grew into this thing that helps a lot of people. And to be perfectly blunt, is a great sales channel for me as well. And it's a fun thing to do. I think the Legiit Facebook group itself is up to like 7,000 people now as well. So it's just a very, very valuable tool. And that's kind of how I did it. On top of that, I would always include it in my emails, and you just drive people to it, give them, it's cliche, but give them value, and it grows for itself,
And now 64,000 people. I'm going to assume you've got what every other group's got: spammers, trolls, the full shooting match. Do you have a team looking after that, or do you still manage that day to day yourself?
Occasionally I do, but for the most part, we have, I think 10 to 15, I forget the exact number, but about 15 moderators and admins, all volunteers, people who just liked the community and have offered to help. We still get spammers and trolls and stuff, unfortunately, but it's also important to make it, if you're going to have a group where there's other groups in the same space, is to find a way to distinguish it. We try to be much more friendly to very, very, very basic questions.
Yeah.
Than some groups where, like, if you ask, how do I set my meta title in Yoast or something, people are going to laugh at you, where I make a point to, and to us, that is a silly question, but to somebody else, that could be very overwhelming. And we try to allow that level of it, but, and then there's advanced discussion as well. But I try to create, I hate this expression, but I try to create like a safe space for anyone at any level, and that's not necessarily what any group should be, but that's just what I wanted to reflect my values.
No, I think it makes sense. I think there's a place for everyone, and I've done it with, I do live shows and stuff, and people are like, I was scared to ask a question on there because I might have looked stupid, and I'm like, nah, man, there's got to be a place for newbies, because we've all been there before. And it's great that you offer that. But before we do wrap up, what does the future hold for Legiit? Is there anything new? Is it going to diversify, or is it just going to be much more of the same, just continue to scale and grow? That, or are you going to even launch another marketplace or anything like that? I'm just curious to know, with that success, where do you go from here?
So for the first couple of years, our goal was just to get as much as many people on it as possible, whether it's freelancers, customers, or whatever. And that's been great. And we wanted to try to get as many people as possible to get sales, which to some extent is still our goal. But we're going to be focusing more on, we're going to be trying to give agencies, when I say agency, I don't mean, and this isn't trying to knock anybody, I don't mean the people that are really freelancers that call themselves agencies that are just one guy. I mean, like, big agencies, we're going to try to do things to accommodate them, because that's a real gap that we're seeing in the marketplace, is services that cater specifically to agencies. You have stuff like the Hoth, but they are what they are. And we want to make it clear that our customers are worth more than $5 and our freelancers have skill that's worth more than $5. We're going to be trying to bring on freelancers that want to use it to make a full-time business, both from income and then from a brand. And then we're going to be focusing on ways to make an agency's life easier, to where they can outsource their entire thing and know that it's going to get done right. So that's kind of our focus, is to shift away from the smaller, and we can't say the G word because Fiverr technically owns that term, smaller end services, to people that want to grow an entire business, and then people that want to use it to fulfill their entire business. So that's kind of our focus going forward, is to let people know that they're worth more than $5.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great model. And as you say, I think even for agencies who've got gaps in their services, in terms of staff, can go on there and hire someone without going through the likes of Upwork or People Per Hour, interview people getting their fingers burnt time and time again, when you're using tried and tested experts that are on there. And I think that's a point, again, I just want to finally emphasize. The guys on here are doing really good work. I personally use them. This is not a podcast where Chris has said, hey, can we come on here and promote Legiit? Right. We actually have Chris on here because I've promoted 2 previous Legiit guys who do really good work. And I think using these services, because at the end of the day, we all want to make money. And even, the likes of you, Chris, you were buying things from different freelancers, to fill in the gaps where your skill set wasn't great. I still do it to this day because I'm not a PR guy, and I'm not a logo guy, and I'm not anything else. So I think it's a great option and a great service that you're offering there, and I can't speak highly enough of it. But if anyone does want to reach out to you or check stuff out, I mean, obviously the Legiit link will be below where you can go to the marketplace. I'll put the Superstar SEO group there. But what if someone just says, Chris, I really like what you've done and I want to talk to you? Are you available, and where is the best place to get a hold of you?
I guess the best thing to do would be to message me on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, you can just search for Chris M. Walker. Be patient. I get a lot of messages, but I'll do my best to get back to everyone. And then, of course, you can join like the Legiit Facebook group or the Superstar SEO Facebook group. We're always available in there. And then you can message me on Legiit as well. I still, I get high on my own supply. Basically, I still sell. I still sell on there too. So if you have like something that you have a question about, a service, something like that, you can always message me on there too. So any of those, you should be able to get a hold of me, and I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as possible. So like I said, community is probably the most important thing in all of my businesses. So I look forward to meeting and getting to know anybody that needs anything.
No problem at all. One last question, Chris, and I'm just out of curiosity. Again, tell me to bugger off if you don't want to answer. If you were to sell Legiit today, if someone was to come in and offer you money for what you built up just now in the last 3 years, what would be the kind of approximate? Now, I know you can't be exact. What is the approximate value of what you guys are sitting on right now? Is it 10 million, 20 million, 50 million, or more?
I don't know how to do those kinds of projections. I know there's like a formula you use to evaluate a business, and I haven't done that because I have no interest in selling. It would take probably a lot more than, I don't know. I don't have a number to give you, but it would have to be, I could never make that much money the rest of my life, because
it's just for people to know that in 3 years you've grown something that is potentially worth tens of millions of pounds. We'll put that figure on it, or if not more, a lot more. I don't know the value of these things, but literally, I think it's a great story that you've in that amount of time been able to build up such a good asset and could literally retire forevermore if you were to sell it tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, I don't pay myself from it, so it's not about the money. It would have to be some ungodly, $100 million type of number that it probably wouldn't quite warrant, just because it sounds cheesy again, but like it means too much to me to sell off first to someone that's not going to share the vision for what I created for it. I feel like if I sold it for big money like that, they would try to just turn it into like Fiverr or something, So I don't really have a good number to give you. It would be an absurd amount though. So because like you say, people want to know that it's going to be there. And a lot of it is tied to me, and in people's mind anyway, it's tied directly to me. And I would feel that I'm doing a huge disservice to people like that if my goal was just to cash out in 5 years or whatever.
Yeah.
So
curious to know. Great story though. Great marketplace, and thank you very much for taking the time to come on and share some of the stories with us as well.
I appreciate it, dude. I've been looking forward to this since we talked about it last week. I think it was a great time. I'm glad to give some people a preview, and hopefully it'll help some folks out in some way or another as well.
No worries. Well, thank you very much, Chris. And anyone watching, Chris's links are below. And yeah, check it out. It is you can pretty much get anything you want on there, guys. So have a look around, and thank you again, Chris.
Anytime, man. Thank you.